オリジナル総流脚。
You know, it's hard being a martial arts fan in this day and age, especially when it comes to anime. Back in the 90s, flashy, dramatic, lightning-fast combat was anime in a nutshell. But over the years, all these other genres have been rather hogging the spotlight all to themselves. But over the last 2 years, we've had some shows that could be counted as the best new martial arts anime, since they feature hand-to-hand combat that makes you want to get in the ring. So let's get ready to crack some knuckles and have a look at 5 of the best new martial arts anime featuring beautiful hand-to-hand combat. Number 5, God of High School. Okay, who didn't see this coming? It was literally characters fighting and fighting and fighting because the plot that every episode built for more than 20 minutes was just irrelevant when you tuned in the next week. Now, don't get me wrong here, it sure features the best of the best when it comes to anime characters battling it out and has a lot of styles for everyone, depending on whether you want a girl with a wooden sword playing Gintoki in real life, or a character who just becomes super buffed all of a sudden despite having stars for eyes. But don't count the wrestler lady out, she was my favorite. A high school tournament that's also in our glorious K-pop city, so doesn't sound like one people would be super hyped about, right? I mean, high school kids aren't that macho by any means, but it's an anime based on the GOAT webtoon, so yeah. The trio of Jinmori, Handewi, and Mira are about to come across so many different situations because no one's a friend, no one's a foe, and it all comes down to you yourself and your will to carry out what's very right when it matters the most. Number 4, Vinland Saga. Vikings in an anime? Hell yeah. And to top it off, based on a manga that's been super Hollywood for more than a decade now. Lads, we're in for a good one. Best thing about Vinland Saga, and probably what makes it win over God of High School, is the fact that the former has an engaging story to keep the viewer in it for the entirety of its runtime, compared to the latter where it's just fighting and fighting with minimum dialogue. Seeing your dad die in front of you because the enemy played dirty, that's sure to scar you for the rest of your life while erupting the volcano inside you. The lava just waiting to engulf the very person behind all that. Still a child at the time, Thorfinn accompanies Askeladd with the hope that someday he'll be able to exact revenge upon the very animal who took his father away from him. The anime features Thorfinn growing up while transforming into this rather beast who cares about nothing other than to make sure that the one standing in front of him suffers the most gruesome death by his hands. Get ready to see great fighting scenes every other episode or so, cause it's just Wit Studio going all out and showing why it's still the GOAT studio when it comes to anime. CGI can't be good? Berserk has been the biggest disappointment of the decade? Think again, cause sometimes that very setting is a must for executing some of the most impactful punches in anime history. Underground brawls aren't anything new when it comes to anime. We even had The Great Pretender feature something like that while being miles away from the very thought no matter how you look at it. But the biggest companies, the most glorious of names in the world, hiring fighters to battle it out in a tournament where anything goes and every other fighter features fighting styles you haven't heard of even once in your lives. While the narrator just tells you their life story while the fight is underway, doesn't that sound a little too good to be true? Well, we don't lie on this channel, and it's on Netflix as well. Tokida Oma is just your average street fighter, hired by the Nogi group with the rather geezer appointed as his manager. The fights are too brutal at times, and all the fighters bring their own kit to the table, while making sure that they're on par or even better than most MMA fights, because after all, it is anime.
俺は生まれた場にとどまるものだしな。よいよい、それならここで死ね。
Number 2, Jujutsu Kaisen. Anime of the year 2020 is here to save the day. Though, sit tight for the number 1 pick. You probably haven't heard of that one, I'm pretty sure. Executing the art of hand-to-hand combat perfectly ever since episode 1, the anime rubs it on you that Mappa Studio isn't the one you should underestimate, despite people just shitting on them 24/7 ever since Attack on Titan came out.
力出た言葉は全て嘘だったんじゃないかと思えるくらい腹の底から出た本音。殺してやる。
Seriously, with with new enemies and allies every other week and these curses being controlled by a rather child at heart named Mahito, you know that Itadori Yuji is going to be on the hit list of a lot of baddies out there, considering he is the vessel of the biggest, baddest name there ever was, Sukuna. Plus, with his sensei Gojo Satoru there to show us some of the flashiest moves there are when it comes to anime, we're all just ready to see something completely out of this world whenever this guy's on the screen. With the first season now ended and the new movie announced, it's the perfect time to pick it up if you haven't already, cause it's just perfection to be honest, with a lot of fights to keep the action fans busy for like a day or two, cause I know you're experts when it comes to binge watching.
部をわきまえろ。知れ者が。
Number 1. Wushan Ruzing. Okay, who knows this one? Tell us in the comments. You're a real one if you've seen this one, cause a lot of people I know dropped it cause it's Chinese. Man, seriously, how did you watch IP Man then? The 4 elements have been shown in all forms of media since the advent of time itself, but I can assure you that you haven't seen them made this cool and flashy ever in your entire lives. It's the best combat I've ever seen in anime, with animation that's so crisp, so cocaine to the eyes that you're sure to get high throughout its entirety, considering it's not that long to begin with. Well, that's a given, considering how only a handful of people were behind its production, which makes everything a lot crazier. Trust me, the combat is just godly every time, and you'll have to spam that rewind button over and over again just to process what happened not more than a second ago. Well, that concludes today's list. What do you think about it? Comment below some of your favorite martial arts / action anime down below. But that's all for today's video, my guys. Don't forget to drop a like and subscribe, and I wish you all a great day for watching anime.